In a world in crisis, can three idiots find hope in the darkest of places? Will love conquer all, or will hate win out in the end? This is a show called Hate.
Hello and welcome to A Show Called Hate, a podcast in which we explore love, hate, and everything in between in search of greater meaning and perhaps a little perspective. I'm John.
I'm Nick.
I'm Chris.
What do you do? What do you do, Nick, to yourself?
I bash my hand on my headphones.
Oh no.
I hurt my little knuckles.
That's a good start.
I'm not used to this recording remotely shit.
Yeah, about that. I mean, it's like 2020 all over
in
again.
The three rooms. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So, do we want to talk about that? Why we're all separated?
I think we should. I think set the scene so that the listeners at home.
We've just all had enough.
Okay. Well. Okay. Yeah. There we go.
That's the upshot of it.
No scene setting today.
Well, I got the Rona, didn't I?
You did. You full on got it.
We still don't know how that happened.
No, it's infuriating because how many football games have you gone to, Chris Ray?
Well, I didn't want to bring it up. I mean, I've been to at least sort of 10 games with multiple thousands of people, and I'm yet to catch it.
Yeah,
and,
you've yet to get
I've not
it.
been particularly careful, as it were. So I'm extremely fortunate not to have got it. Whereas you presumably brushed past someone in the supermarket.
Yeah,
I've now had to be not had to be, but have diligently been indoors for a little while.
He doesn't touch anyone because he wears a full body mask.
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah. Oh yeah, no. It's the annoying thing is that it. Yeah, I kind of feel given that I have been infected and I've now recovered and I'm testing negative, and given that you yourself. Chris Ray was saying that you've gone to many events and you've not been that careful. It's your urging of caution, which means we're not in the same room here today.
Quite right. Well, I have a football game to go to. Ironically, I have a football game to go to, so that is why I have requested that we err on the side of caution this evening, because I have a football game to go to in 2 days, which is very important.
Yes,
because I'd rather be there than not if I can possibly help it.
When did you last go to a football game?
A week. So today is Thursday. So 3 days ago was Monday. So a week prior to that.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, that's probably around the time I started going into quarantine. Actually, if I think back to it, yeah,
into deep feverish pain.
Yeah. Well, I don't think you can lay the blame for that at my door. Unless.
Well, I can find a way to blame it on you.
As far as I know, I haven't had it and haven't given it to you. We did bump into each other the previous Saturday.
Yes.
Which is probably the last time I saw you prior to today for a full-blown conversation.
But that's a weird thing because I saw you that weekend, Chris Ray, and I saw Nicholas Angel, who's also on the call.
Yeah.
Hi there.
The difference is I saw you in passing for like a few minutes.
Correct.
And Nick and I, we got a bite to eat.
Yeah.
You know? And, yeah.
I guess the natural conclusion to draw from this, given the fact that you were exposed to me for much, much longer than Chris Ray, the natural conclusion is that it's Chris Ray's fault.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we can draw from this. It's annoying to me, and I'm sure you probably had it worse than me, John.
I don't know.
It's annoying to me that we don't know where it came from. I find that frustrating
because no one else I've been in contact with that I know of has had it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Lucy's had it now, but I'm fairly certain I gave it to her.
That's probably from you.
There's no way knowing for sure.
And she got it later than me. So clearly it kind of makes sense that I brought the illness into the house and then she kind of...
There was that time, though, I spat on a brick and threw it through your window.
Yes.
So there's...
you got to spit on a brick, otherwise it's not as aerodynamic.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
I didn't notice that because I was like licking your banister at the time.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That'll be it, yeah.
Yeah, that'll be it, yeah.
Well, I'm glad I didn't come for lunch with you, to be honest.
There's a lot of licking and slashing.
Yeah.
I went to the far bleaker pub.
Yeah, you went to a pub with 5 louts, and we had a perfectly civilized.
That in the end, yeah.
We had a very civilized dinner, and then went and sat in a park. And yet, look who gets infected. Muggings over here.
I can only apologise.
I don't mind that I've had it. I think I have like a degree of frustration that like I almost had a clean sweep. Like it felt like after 2 years and never having it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make it. This is gonna be it, the dream.
I'll end up getting it in the most mundane way possible. I'm convinced of that. Like, if I got it hugging someone because Gillingham have scored a goal, then that's on me. But I'll end up getting it like probably how John has, which is just brushing past somebody.
Just a mystery, basically.
Yeah.
Well,
which will annoy the hell out of me.
But surely you catching it from a random stranger on the street is more likely than Gillingham scoring a goal.
Well, that is correct at the moment.
Ooh,
that's a great cut, John, and I commend you for it. But it's also factual.
I don't think we've had enough football news recently.
No, well, that's very interesting.
Gillingham are about to go down. Is that correct?
Well, we have. Yeah, again, John, you're not wrong. Gillingham this weekend, which is the important game I'm alluding to, have a last game of the season sort of shootout, if you like. So we have to better the team above us's result. So if they lose and we draw, we stay up, for example. And likewise, if they draw and we win, we stay up.
What if you both win?
Then it depends on the team above them.
Oh, I see.
And what they do. There's various permutations which I won't bore you with now. The sticking point is that we are fucking awful. And I don't back us to win any game, let alone one against the team we're playing, which is a team that is going for the league title.
I see.
And that's the definition of supporting a football team, is the phrase, I do not back us to win any of our games.
No, well, I don't. That's the thing. I'm trying to find like positives going into this game, but statistically there are none. It is blind support that is drawing me there. And frankly, if I didn't believe it was possible, I wouldn't be going, ultimately. So obviously there's a part of me that believes it's possible. However, the odds are stacked against us. And I feel we will get relegated. But if I come to you in 2 weeks from now and we haven't got relegated, I'll be delighted and surprised in equal measure. But yeah, we're probably going to get relegated.
So now, obviously, Gillingham has been nearly as big a part of my life these past 30 years as it has been of yours. Kind of mostly just through association, really.
Sure.
But like, there was a time probably about a decade ago where you were incredibly happy because your team had gone up. They'd been promoted.
Correct. Yeah, that was 9 years ago exactly.
Wow. 9 years ago. Wow.
What a time to be alive.
So you've been promoted from League 2 to League 1.
Yep.
Which is below the Championship.
Correct. Excellent.
Which itself is below the Premiership.
Very good.
God,
so are you still in League 1?
We're still in League 1. We've not gone up or down in terms of divisions since 9 years ago.
So, okay, so what I'm saying is, if you are relegated, you're really, it's like those 9 years just didn't happen, really. Like
well, I suppose if you look at it that way, John, that's correct. But I like to think I had a nice time during the ride. I mean, technically, if you go on holiday and then you return home, did the holiday ever happen?
No.
By that logic.
But if you get below, if you were relegated below League 2, you're kind of getting into the competitions which are named after regional wallpaper.
Well, yeah, except they're named after like Checkatrade and like price comparison websites.
And they're the kind of tournaments. They're the kind of tournaments that I would play in, and I don't.
I mean, you probably get a trial. To be honest, with some of these teams. I mean, ideally, we wouldn't go beneath the division we're probably heading into this weekend. But you know,
here's hoping.
It would save me a lot of money if we kept plummeting down the leagues, frankly, because I can't see me travelling to Gillingham quite as regularly for an even worse standard of football.
Oh,
but is the dream still alive? Though,
in what respect?
Well, you'd have to explain it to me. I don't follow
any respect. The dream, if I'm honest.
Any respect at this point, like just give us anything.
The dream is alive in that I obviously, on some level, feel we might do it. As I say, because I'm going.
because you're going, specifically you.
No, but I wouldn't waste my time. I mean, to that point, I've not seen us win since before the pandemic.
Okay.
Wow.
I've not seen us win since February 2020.
So maybe you're the problem.
In person. Well, I could be the problem, which is why I considered not going. But I was talked round.
That's very good of you. That's very big of you.
So depending on what the dream is, yes, I obviously believe on some level we can do it, but on a practical, statistical level, we've got no fucking chance.
Here's the thing, though. Like, would you say it's... Here's Nick's take, okay? Nick's hot take.
Nick's hot take.
Yeah, get ready. Wouldn't you say that it's probably infinitely impossible that you will ever rise above League One?
No, because we have risen above League One previously.
Because I was
when was that?
We were in the Championship 2000 to 2005.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah, and then,
that ruins my
we
whole
relegated
point.
Twice in 3 years.
Because my whole point was going to be that if you go down to League Two, at least you have somewhere to go, which is back up to League One again. Whereas the likelihood
No. I would go as far as saying that if we were in League One, if we stay in League One this season, we will do quite well in it next season. Things will be different next year.
Really?
I believe.
A bold claim.
But we got to stay in the division first. If we don't, then all of this is irrelevant.
So you're saying that there's a time when your beloved team Gillingham were in the Championship.
Oh, big time.
And we're kind of around the millennium.
Yeah, well, we got promoted from it is now League One. It was called Division 2 then.
That's
rebrands.
confusing.
Lots of rebrands since then. In 2000, and then we got relegated on the last day, which is a fairly similar situation to the one we find ourselves in this weekend. 2005. So yeah.
So
and we've not been back at that level obviously since then.
So that's kind of when the rot set in.
Very much.
Basically,
yes,
is what you're saying. Yeah,
in life as well as in football, yes.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I'd started going grey, all of that.
Yeah, all of that.
All of that aging process,
So pretty much, I'm trying to think. So pretty much the entire of the many years, for decades, I've known you, Chris Ray. Within that time, there's a chunk of time in which I've been dragged to football games.
Yes.
And it started around 2000.
Well, probably started around 2004.
So what you're saying is, in the nearly 20 years, well, actually, I haven't gone in like 10, but in that period of my life where you dragged me to many football games,
in the brief 7-year period,
it felt longer. In that time of my life where I went to many games to see Gillingham play, you're basically saying they were in a steady decline.
Oh, absolutely.
For the entire period that I saw them play.
Pretty much. I mean, and the game you saw is testament to that.
Yeah, I mean,
last game. I think that was the last game you came to because, to be fair, I would have given up.
Yeah,
if I wasn't like contractually obligated to.
If you didn't have a problem at this point, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't a disgusting.
So maybe it's John's fault then. That's another option.
It could have been, but to be fair, it's not improved much since he stopped. So
no. Well, he's created a lasting effect which they cannot pull up from.
Yeah. John, with just the stench of John is left on the club basically.
When they saw how much they'd kind of fallen in my eyes, they realised there was no point in actually trying.
They thought, what's the point? And they cursed the club.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's going to be like a montage at the start of Beauty and the Beast, isn't it? It's just the Gillingham FC version of that.
Yeah.
And once the flower wilts, the club will never rise above League Two again.
I was trying. What's the Gillingham equivalent of a rose floating in a jar?
Yeah, probably like a 6-pack. when the 6-pack rusts. That is when the Gillingham FC story ends. Yeah.
Gradually a can is taken away. Until there's just one can in that plastic thing with the 6 holes in it.
Yeah. When that gradually sort of disintegrates.
Yeah. When this topless man upends the last can into the drain, and this is all in like a little jar, then the
this
curse
is all in
will
like
be
a
lifted.
snow globe. Yeah.
The man's in the globe as well, just chugging away.
Oh, absolutely.
And to break,
you don't know if he's neither alive nor dead. You don't know for sure.
Yeah, he's like Schrodinger's topless man.
He's Schrodinger's thug.
Great. Hey, but look, enough about your exciting football.
Enough about my social life.
We
for now anyway.
We should probably I guess we got a lot to cover, haven't we? Because we were going to have like we were going to do a bonus episode.
We were
going to do a bonus episode all about everyone's favourite hedgehog.
Yep.
But we didn't because I was ill. I was well ill.
You were well ill.
Yeah.
I was trying to think then of some more hedgehogs that are in popular culture, but I can only think of the Farthingwood ones.
And I just thought of Paddington, and he's not a hedgehog at all.
He's definitely not a hedgehog.
Yeah, and I was worried when you got ill, not because I gave a shit about you and your well-being or whatever, but because of how, it's very important that we're hot on trends on this podcast, and that we talk about this movie when it's hot. Yeah. And I feel like that moment has passed, as is so often the way with this podcast.
I'll be totally honest. I can barely remember what happened.
Oh, you'll remember when we start talking about it.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to just try and get into it now, as a segment? Do we want to?
I think we should
get it out of our system.
A segment that takes up 95% of the show.
It may end up doing, but if so, that's because it's quality audio for people to listen to.
Okay, so the elephant in the room is, it's much better.
Yeah,
it's much better in that it's written about the character.
It's much better in that it's a Sonic movie.
Yes, exactly.
Again, though, I think we may be the minority here.
What are you saying?
How does this keep happening?
Oh, wait. But what do you reckon, Nick? Do you reckon is the general consensus that everybody likes it?
To be fair, I don't really know what the general consensus is. Can you ever? But I've seen a fair few hot takes, articles, video reviews, just people talking about it online, and almost all of them have been negative.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
And then there's another person, friend of the show, Andrew, who liked the first one, and he hated the second one.
I find that absolutely incredible.
Yeah, so I don't know whether that's a representative of the general, because I have seen a couple of clips of people saying that they really dug it. But I don't know. I don't know if that's representative or not. But
am I out of touch?
Yeah,
no. It's the children that are wrong.
It's the children who are wrong.
Okay, we've never been afraid to have unconventional opinions on this show.
No,
hard-hitting, unapologetic.
Yeah, that's part of our mission statement. Yeah,
I don't agree to that.
Yeah,
shut up. But when we saw the first one, when we endured the first movie,
yes,
we were willing to kind of draw a line in the sand and say, "Not today, Satan." We did not care for this movie, and we kind of felt like the world had gone insane.
Well, after that movie, I locked myself in my house for 2 years.
Yeah,
yes,
unrelated. I think not.
That's what happened.
But so my point is, I'm not trying to be contrarian when I say that this kind of was a better movie.
For context, the instant the movie finished and the credits rolled, we looked at each other and we said, "That was better." This isn't an opinion that we've come to after hearing that everyone else didn't like it. The immediate, while I was watching it even, the immediate feelings I was having is, this is infinitely better than the first one. There's still a huge fucking dump of caveat to go along with that, because there is some weird shit in this film. Really, really weird. Potentially weirder than the first one.
And this sort of speaks to the fact I can't remember really what happened in the film. There was one bit where I turned around and just went, no. And I just went, bad movie. And I can't remember which bit it was.
There was a bit where Ali
turned
to me.
It may have been the dancing.
Yeah.
It may have been the statue.
Yep. There was a bit where Ali turned to me and just said, "I don't care." About what is currently happening on screen, which is that's pretty powerful moment, that. Yeah. So
I think I remember I felt very conflicted when the movie finished, because I think I enjoyed myself.
Yes.
At the same time, I couldn't bring myself to say it was good.
No. No.
The thing is, it was a fairly short movie, and you could have lost probably 40% of it.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was longer. It was longer than the first one, apparently.
Was it?
I didn't realize that, because I was so swept up in everything, obviously, that I didn't notice. But
there were two bits that I didn't care for in terms of prolonged sections of the movie. One was the dance.
Yes.
Which was very first movie, which was
very
Sonic,
first
for some
movie.
reason Sonic dancing to Uptown Funk and winning the respect of locals.
Yes,
And in Tails
a
were in
bar
perfect
again.
rhythm as well.
Weirdly, we have another bar scene. So the writers of Sonic
yeah.
movies are really, really obsessed with taking our CGI heroes from another universe and putting them in bars where fights are prone to break out. Weird trope that.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because after, I remember with the first movie in particular, like it was weird to see a movie that was simultaneously expensive and cheap at the same time. Like,
yeah, that's true. That's a good example, actually.
They have this bar scene in the second one, and clearly they've got a bigger budget because, like, immediately following it, they have this big snowboarding scene. I think, don't they? That's like
yeah, sure, yeah.
Which is action packed. It's colourful. It's kind of what you might imagine when you picture a Sonic movie.
Yeah.
But so you think like, oh, they're finally putting their money where their mouth is. But then, of course, they do have a 48-minute dance scene in a bar. You know,
it felt that long, yeah.
And that's just economic. That's just good economics. I mean, like you can, you can
but
get a lot
that's
of
just
content.
something for the kids. That's just something for the kids, which is like, oh look, Sonic's dancing. Isn't that fun? No, is the answer.
No is the answer, exactly. Yeah, I don't think even the kids would think that is cool.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Does anyone think that song is relevant anymore? That song's been out for what, 25 years?
Well,
yeah, wasn't it like
there's other shit
or something.
There's a Limp
It's
Bizkit.
just like, oh, here's a modern popular song that the children will recognise.
There's a Limp Bizkit joke in that film.
Yeah.
Relevance doesn't seem to necessarily be high on their priority list in terms of... I mean, don't get me wrong, the first one had some pretty weird jokes in it. But, like, this one...
We're mid-30s, mid-30-year-olds watching a movie for 5-year-olds. Probably written by 55-year-olds.
Interesting. Yep.
Yeah. So
who's the target? Yeah, who's the target market then? You know, like, because the Limp Bizkit joke is for us, right?
I don't remember that. What was that joke? Oh,
I can't really remember.
Oh, I can't remember.
I think Eggman just says it as a throwaway line as something he's listening to or something like that. I can't remember. But
talking about like being conflicted though, because you're describing all these things and in my head I'm going like, oh yeah, that's awful, and then I think of a few bits which were kind of fine. Then I also think of bits that were genuinely funny.
Yes, absolutely.
Like when they walk into that bar and your heart starts sinking because
God, yeah, that was, oh Christ,
you know what's kind of coming. But, you know, it's a classic scene. They walk into a bar, everyone turns and looks at them. You see something menacing, something more menacing, something more menacing. And then someone chops the head off a fish. Yeah. And the fish slides across the floor and the mouth just goes, run. It's like, that's so weird.
That was funny.
Yeah.
The thing is, it was so funny that it didn't belong in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, that would be funny in any... I feel like that would be funny in any movie.
Yes.
Agreed.
It was just funny.
They were kind of saddled with all the stuff they created in the first movie instead of creating a plot. And it's like they couldn't escape it. Like,
but that's the irritating thing, is that they could have. They just could have, you know? Like, one of the things that I went into this movie thing, and I tried to go with an open mind, and I feel like I did. One of the things I said to myself was, if I see bloody Longclaw again, I'm going to kick off. Right? Someone's going to get like a kick in the shins, right? And sure enough, Longclaw is a vital and major part of the mythology they, for some reason, created for these movies, and featured potentially more heavily in the second film than she did in the first, where she just appears at the beginning and dies. And it's like, why lean on that? I don't understand.
I've just figured out the bit where I went no, and that it's the bit where the hologram pops up.
Of a hologram of Longclaw.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which was encoded in a map.
Yeah, something like that. And it's like, Sonic, if you're listening to this message, then I am gone. And it's like, oh fuck. It's like, fuck off, maybe.
But also, it's like, you know, you're adapting Sonic. You don't have a lot to go on, as we said in the first movie. So then they're like, okay, well, let's fill in the blanks. Let's create more. Let's add to this mess. So they come up with Longclaw, and everyone goes like, oh, Longclaw's a bit weird. We're not going to get that again. And then there's a surprising amount of Longclaw in the second movie that basically tells you everything about Longclaw, while also kind of saying why we're not going to see or reference Longclaw ever again.
Yeah.
Because the mystery is set up and solved. Oh yeah, it turns out Longclaw's people tried to like genocide the Echidnas or something like that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Owls versus Echidnas is the great war of our time.
You know? Yeah, exactly. But also, that's twice they've done that now. Introduced Longclaw with the aim to never see Longclaw again. In the very first movie, the very first scene, Longclaw is introduced only to die, right? And then in the second movie, Longclaw is introduced as a sort of legacy mystery for our heroes to solve, only to, you know, be concluded, solved, and never to be seen again. She's gonna be in the third film. I guarantee she's going to be in the third film. And by the way, there's going to be a third movie because we know because of the end credit sequence. It's going to be a trilogy, guys. It's going to be a box set.
Surely they're just going to keep going, though.
Maybe forever.
If the third one's not going to be the last one, is it?
Well, they can clearly shoot a movie in like a long weekend in Hawaii. You know, like the whole cast gets a nice holiday.
That was incredible that the cast were just there in Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you do the movie and we'll send you to Hawaii to film it.
They're
like, yeah, all right then, yeah, fine.
I like James Marsden. Like, if there's an actor on the planet who maybe deserves, because look, he's like what 74 now and looks it.
Probably, yeah.
Like, he deserves a nice holiday. So
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, I feel like look, he's soldiered through that first movie. If he can get like an all expenses paid 5-day trip to some resort in Hawaii.
Yeah,
good on him.
Wasn't there a bit where they just were like, "My God, isn't Hawaii fantastic?"
I'm pretty sure James Marsden just turns to the camera holding a leaflet that just says "Go to Hawaii," basically. On it.
He basically says, "Join me, James Marsden. I'm here in Hawaii indefinitely."
And then he just looks at the camera, dead in the eye, and just goes, "Hawaii is amazing. Come here." Yeah. Why not come here?
Yeah, I remember that bit. That was one of the best bits of the movie.
That was one of my favorite parts.
The thing is, there was speaking of Hawaii, there was a bit of the movie basically where it was his partner's sister's wedding.
Yes.
And that bit of the movie went on for what? Let's be generous and say at least 20 minutes.
Yes, I was going to say 15
Sonic
minutes.
did not appear during that time.
No, there's a fascinating... Yeah, this is something worth talking about. There's a fascinating, like, wedge of the pie of this movie, right? Where Sonic and Tails are not on screen at all. Yeah. Like, at all. It's not just a cutaway briefly, or we see where they are, or we spend majority of the time... No, they are not in the film for about 15 minutes while we watch a wedding collapse around a load of characters that are very tangentially connected to James Marsden and his wife. And that's being generous, I'd say. I'd say that was generous.
But then they shoehorn in that basically the bloke James Marsden's partner's sister's getting married to is an agent.
Yeah.
And all the wedding guests somehow are agents.
All of them are agents.
And they bring
tracking
back
Sonic.
And they bring back that one elderly actor from the first movie who played like an
he's in it
general.
quite a bit. He's in it quite a bit,
isn't he?
That's called in the writer's room, what the fuck do we have?
Yes.
And they have to draw on a whiteboard and we go, what the hell do we have to bring back?
There were two things on that whiteboard, and there was Old Army Guy and there was Longclaw, and that was it. That was what the whiteboard had on it.
The thing about that as well is that it is literally padding because it's all resolved within about 5 minutes.
Yes.
Like the agent falls in love with James Marsden's partner's sister. He's like, oh my God, what a woman.
I do actually love it, turns out.
Then they're like in love. But then the Sonic escapes almost immediately.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the hell was that?
I think the point of it is that they had a runtime with the script.
Yeah.
And then they had an amount of time that the budget could cover animation, right? And those two numbers didn't match up. They had a 15-minute difference between how much animation money they had and how much runtime they had. So they were like, shit, we need to put a section in here to pad out while the animators rest their wrists, basically.
Basically, 1 second of Sonic being on screen is worth 10 tickets to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So you're saying
financially and fiscally it made sense.
Made a huge amount of sense.
This is quite fitting because I can kind of picture a lot of the movie decisions coming down to one accountant. It was like kind of like 2 columns. It was like, oh my God, there's a discrepancy.
The animation budget and the Hawaii budget, and they just do not align at all.
And he's sat there on the beach in Hawaii drinking this massive cocktail, and he just looks down at the cocktail. Oh no, I've gone too far.
That's right. Nobody wanted to go to Hawaii, but they were like, Guys, we need this movie needs 15 minutes of Hawaii time, or they'll send us all to court. We will all go to jail.
Yeah. There's a phrase in movie making which is Hawaii time, and it's often worded as the one thing that will save a movie that's falling apart at the seams. If we can just get some Hawaii time in, then we might pull this thing back, and they did, kind of, I guess,
sort of in a manner of speaking. That's all the stuff that I didn't like because it's very similar to the first one.
Well, yeah, basically everything we didn't like about the second one is all the exact same shit we didn't like about the first. It's all still the same shit.
But the good stuff was good.
Can we talk about a couple of weird
Let's talk about
plot
weird
elements?
I like weird plot elements.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so spoilers, everybody, but the movie opens with Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we not warn people about the spoilers?
Yeah, Tails is in it, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Okay, so the movie opens with Dr. Robotnik, or Eggman, whatever you want to call him, stranded on the mushroom planet, or whatever, the mushroom dimension. Yeah, and he's been there for months, hasn't he? Or something like that.
I think
he says several hundred days, I think.
Yeah.
Something.
Or maybe years then. Okay, yeah, so he's building...
I think it's just under a year, I seem to remember.
Sure.
Okay.
But he's building like funky machines out of mushrooms and stuff. He's gone a bit crazy. Great. Okay, killer content. He makes a machine which is powered, once again, by Sonic's spine.
Yes.
And you'll notice how quickly...
Not his vertebrae spine.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Sonic's...
Yeah. His backbone.
His quill.
Yes,
quill.
His quill. Yeah, there we go.
Quill.
And doesn't the movie do away with the quill relatively quickly?
Yeah, fairly quickly.
Doesn't he discover, because Knuckles comes through a portal, spoilers, and doesn't he then just go, oh, fuck this quill. I don't need it anymore, because Knuckles has got, the emerald and shit.
Well, I
think that's the exact line, actually.
But this is my thing. Robotnik, on an alien planet full of mushrooms, creates a device which you think is going to make a portal home, but it goes wrong.
Yeah.
It malfunctions, and there's a big explosion, and he's knocked out. Twist, subversion. It's very clever.
Yes.
Then a portal opens.
Yeah.
And two humans...
Yeah. Yep.
Can't stress enough, two human actors looking like Star Wars rejects step out, wearing, full body armor. They look like, the sand people, or whatever.
Yeah.
They're faceless goons.
I think they kind of had bird masks, though. That was one of the weird things that threw me. But yes, yeah.
It looked a bit like the owl people, but they clearly weren't.
They weren't.
And they come out, and they have, spears, and they're, poking at Dr. Robotnik's unconscious body. And you're like, this is a Sonic movie. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And then he's faking. He wakes up and he has a series of elaborate traps which knock these people out. And you're like, haha, it was all part of his plan.
Yes.
And then Knuckles walks through the portal.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my question is, who were those two humans? And they're never mentioned again.
Nope.
Knuckles
I think you're doing too good a job of remembering the movie, John, if I'm honest.
But Knuckles had minions.
They could have so easily been two other echidnas, right? Because we'd seen the echidnas in the first movie. We knew that Knuckles was one of this race that had been terrorized by Longclaws, owls, or whatever.
Noble deity.
Noble Mama Owl has been looking after these echidnas so well. And yet, for some reason, he's accompanied through the portal by two humanoid men in the closest looking outfit to bird outfits, which are more like Longclaw than his people. What the hell? What the absolute hell? I don't know. I can't answer that question, John. I wish I could.
Okay. Here's another one for you.
Oh.
You know how we said in the first movie, it's weird how Sonic... He's really fast, but he's also just kind of crackling with blue energy.
Sure.
He has this indeterminate, ill-defined power where he's just kind of a battery of energy.
Yeah, seems to be.
That went nowhere.
Nope.
But then also, to that end, Knuckles appears to have that flickering battery-like aesthetic, but for no real reason except that he can punch really hard.
And his is red. Obviously.
And his is red, but it doesn't mean anything. It just has
No.
big hands which presumably would do the same job as that.
And then Tails obviously is introduced, but doesn't seem to have that.
Tails doesn't have that, but can fly.
And he has
yes.
a gun.
Yeah,
And has
he
lots
does
of gadgets.
have a gun. Yes,
He has like a series of terrifying booby trap devices.
in his little adorable backpack that he carries around.
So I don't know, as a viewer, necessarily what gives Tails his power, except for the fact he's got 2 tails. So is Tails magic, or is he normal? Is he a normo?
This is the thing, right? So my prediction was going to be that the second movie would tell us that Sonic had this blue crackling energy because he'd swallowed the blue Chaos Emerald, right? Or something. He was fused with it in some way. And that when we'd seen Knuckles have the same like power signature, I was like, right, he's got the red one inside him.
Sure.
And the story is going to be all about pulling those emeralds out of them, which maybe endangers their life in some way, combining them with the others and giving Robotnik ultimate power. That's what I thought the story was going to be. And that would have been quite a smart way to tie up a lot of question marks about weird quills holding battery-like energy inside them from the first movie. That would have been what I would call writing. That would have been the act of writing a tale, shall we say. We didn't get that. No, we did get the Chaos Emeralds.
We got an emerald,
which split into multiple ones.
which it turns out is actually all the emeralds. Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
But also, this is the weird discrepancy because now they've introduced the Chaos Emeralds, which I'm all in favour of because that's more like a Sonic franchise.
Yeah.
And we see Sonic go supersonic.
Yes,
Like we see
do.
it happen. But now that's happened. It makes Sonic's miscellaneous blue glowing powers and Knuckles' miscellaneous red glowing powers completely irrelevant. Like
Yes.
they don't mean anything.
No.
But to be fair, Sonic doesn't use that very often. Considering there's a sequence that lasts about 10 minutes of Sonic and Knuckles snowboarding, which looks cool, but Sonic surely could just run. A lot of the scenes I just thought, why doesn't this fast being just run?
Yeah.
That's
that
my
was one of
major
my-
criticism of both movies. If I had to single out one criticism that spans both movies, it would probably be, why didn't he run?
The first movie is a road trip movie where two bros hang out in a car.
Could just run, couldn't he?
This is a movie about a guy who runs fast. Like that's pretty mental, really.
And then he does in the end run off the coast of Hawaii over the sea
he does.
to wherever that location is that's holding the emerald. Is that right?
Yeah, there's like
It's a big owl temple, isn't it?
It's a big owl
underground?
temple, which for some reason is off the coast of Hawaii.
And I have to say, like, when the oceans parted to reveal the hidden owl temple, I did actually find myself getting a bit emotional.
Yeah.
Because I found myself thinking about Longclaw.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, no, I'll give you that.
Longclaw took that secret to the grave.
Yeah, there's so much work has been done to develop her character and make us care. That was John, that was a powerful moment.
No, you're right, Nick. And it's actually funny because they've simultaneously put a lot of effort into making us care about owls.
Owlclaw.
Owlclaw, Longclaw and her owl people, and the echidnas.
Sure.
While also simultaneously making us not care because that's done now.
That's over.
We actually have nothing left to learn.
No more. There will be no more to learn about Longclaw.
There are actually no more mysteries left.
But then Knuckles gets over all his misgivings about Sonic because he believes Sonic is like Longclaw's apprentice for some reason. Sonic sort of helps Tails and he goes, "Oh, he's helping his friend." Now I think he's fine.
Now I think he's okay. Yeah.
And that's sort of it.
Yeah.
Idris Elba was good.
Sure.
I enjoyed the performance.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is what I mean, because we're being very critical right now, and perhaps rightly so. But at the same time, I cannot stress enough how much better it is than the first movie.
Yeah. So there's a lot of big things in there. Like, and one of the big ones for me that made it better is that temple that we described. There's a whole sequence where they enter the temple and then they have to navigate this labyrinth and then navigate all these traps and spikes and stuff. And it's kind of a montage. And it's played for laughs because Robotnik and Knuckles are doing it together and that's kind of goofy. And then we see Sonic race through it and sort of jump over pits of spikes and dodge rolling boulders and stuff. And I'm like, that's the game. That's Sonic the Hedgehog, the game. Like, we actually got a moment that not only looked super, super cool and was quite a cool, like, pivotal scene in the film, but also is a direct homage to the shit that you did in the game. That was awesome. Now, yes, okay, that wasn't, you can't build a story out of that, but that's fine. You know, we at least have stuff that's connecting to what Sonic actually is and was, you know? That was good.
The stuff with the Emerald and the stuff with Sonic and Knuckles and Tails and Robotnik to a certain extent was good.
Robotnik's massive robot, loved it.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Robotnik? Because I feel we've been dodging. Well, he's the star.
He's definitely the star of the
Chris
movie.
Ray.
Yes.
Like, you know, we should be talking about him.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
He was good. Good.
Yeah.
Question mark?
Okay.
This is.
I mean, he looked better.
He definitely looked better. He had a good red coat. He had a good mustache.
Big mustache.
Yeah, and he had his badniks actually looked like bugs and wasps and stuff now, which was kind of cool.
They were still. I'm trying to remember. They were still like kind of white all over.
They sadly were white.
They were still very drony.
Oh, and he had his little egg machine that he floated around in now. There's that little pod that he always flies
was more
around.
round. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't have a stupid fighter jet like last time.
I feel like everything I'm saying is negative when you could listen to the words I'm saying and the way I'm saying them and conclude that I'm being negative.
Yes.
But
you'd be wrong.
Again, I think I also enjoyed the movie, ? But I want to draw attention to perhaps one of the worst shots in the movie, which is after
Oh yeah.
I think after the big snowboard scene, where they clearly spent a lot of money. There's a little shot at the end where Robotnik is in his like floating egg canister, and he's got Knuckles, I think, on the side of his little ship, and he basically says something and then just like floats off screen. And the fact that it is Jim Carrey sitting in a bathtub on a green screen was never more noticeable than in that moment.
It's egregious how. Like, I think the scaling is wrong as well, because, like, Knuckles is shorter than Robotnik and not as obviously big as him. Comes up to maybe, like, the bottom of his, I don't know, the bottom of his chest or something like that when stood side by side. But the scaling is completely off on that shot. So not only does it look like he's in a green screen, he's lit from a completely different direction. But Knuckles is massive in comparison to him. It's horrifying.
I suddenly can't remember... I genuinely can't remember. Why was Knuckles attacking Sonic? I know he teamed up with Robotnik.
Because he's apprentice of Longclaw.
I think that was a predominant driving force. But they had a compass thing, didn't they? There was that compass that tracked the temple.
But he said, if you help me kill Sonic, Knuckles says, I will lead you to the Emerald.
But where I genuinely can't remember. Where did that compass come from?
The compass... Oh, God. Did that come from Longclaw's holographic projection?
How?
Oh, yeah, they nicked the compass off Sonic, didn't they?
At the end of the snowboarding scene, they nicked
At the end of the snow, that's what they wanted, the compass, but I can't remember how Sonic got it.
Because Sonic had a map.
Yes, that was the map that Longclaw gave him in movie 1.
But he didn't know how to activate the map.
Sure, let's say that.
A hologram of Longclaw.
Yeah, let's say that for 20
Tails
years.
Turned up.
Yeah, let's say that. Yeah, sure.
That's probably.
Let's lean on that.
And Tails says he came from a planet planet, mind you, and he says that after Sonic was playing a solo game of baseball in the first movie.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And created an electromagnetic pulse.
Yeah.
Tails witnessed that on his home planet.
Yeah.
Somehow.
And since then has been watching Sonic
because he thought he was cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
which
Tails,
he is. Who can blame him?
He's very cool. Tails is
cool.
Basically us then. He also saw the first movie.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Tails basically watched the first movie and thought, this can't get any worse if I turn up.
Well, maybe Tails edited the first movie, so maybe there was a raw feed from Earth of all of Sonic's exploits, and Tails edited that down for us and presented it as a movie for us all to enjoy. Because, he's like the narrator. Sure. But yeah,
it was better.
It was better. It was better. After all of that we're just
saying it, but we're not really coming up with any evidence.
Like that. It's just the fact that everything else was just as bad as the first film. So anything that connects to Sonic's previous storylines or Sonic's previous games and characters will elevate it, because the first one was so sorely lacking in any of that stuff that the instant you have that exact same movie, which is basically it is, but now with a big robot that they have to fight, with Robotnik looking and acting more like classic Robotnik, with Chaos Emeralds, Super Sonic, and Tails and Knuckles, the instant you have all of that stuff, it will just elevate it. And that's really where we are, is that we're in the same shitty movie, basically, but with some of the shit that we loved from the original. And that's probably why we came out going, I'm kind of confused.
I'm so confused. Yeah.
Because we like all of that shit, but the movie is still fundamentally probably broken.
It's basically the equivalent of that Simpsons where Malibu Stacy has a new hat.
Yeah.
It's the same shit movie, but he's got a new hat.
It's got a new hat.
I want it.
Is it that simple?
I enjoyed it? Question mark?
Yeah. Nobody knows whether they enjoyed it or not.
I enjoyed it. I'm prepared to sit and say that. I'm prepared to sit and say I enjoyed the film.
Yes.
That I think it was better than the first film, and that at times I genuinely either laughed or found myself having a good time.
Yes. I don't want to be negative, because it is so much better than the first movie.
Yes.
I think I'm so confused. I think I had a good time in the cinema.
Bear in mind, this is a month after we watched it, and we still can't work it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it is fascinating. It's like the Da Vinci Code of our time in many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, it was I really don't mean to be negative, because I did not care for the first movie. I think I liked the second movie.
I think if I rate a movie at 50% or higher, that means I enjoyed it, or that there was enough in it to tip me over the midpoint and say, overall, there was more good than bad, overall, and that I had fun, right? And I don't know where this sits, but it's over 50%. And I would say the first one is probably just under 50%. It's not egregious. It doesn't make me angry. Well, no, Longclaw makes me angry, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, it doesn't sit in the territory of good to me, like in terms of a film I enjoyed. But the second one does. That's how I'd leave it, I think.
If you told me that I had to now watch Sonic the Hedgehog 1 right now, this evening,
right now,
I would not relish the opportunity. I would not look forward to it.
I'd say no. I think I'd say no.
So then, if you said you actually have to watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2, I'd be like,
yeah,
all right.
Well, I feel like someone in this podcast probably going to say that to me in the next 3 or 4 months. Yeah, you have to watch it and record your thoughts.
We'll have to do a commentary, won't we? We have to do that.
I think we're going to have to.
It's probably already on Disney Plus or
whatever.
Yeah, whatever it's on. I think it's on Netflix. The first one.
Oh, is it? Okay, there we go.
I think so. Netflix, not that I want to promote it necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Well, I think this is clearly going to be a bit of a weird episode, because we've talked about Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for a good while, but I feel we've kind of said everything we need to about the movie.
Sure.
So do we want to be a little unconventional? Do we want to say that, I don't know, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was our love, our collective love?
You know what? I'm happy with that, actually.
And
we can go with that. We can go with that.
Do we each want to like pinch out a hate to kind of get this one over the line?
Pinch off a nice hate.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Well, who's got a hate then?
I've got a hate.
Nick's got a hate.
One. Nick's got one, I reckon. As you just said.
Yeah. So there was a pregnant pause there, but
we were all being very polite then, because we were still thinking about whether we enjoyed the movie or not.
Yeah, but also I think that because John has played so fast and loose with the format, I was
it's thrown me completely. We didn't discuss this.
Mildly panicking that I actually had a hate at all, but I do have one.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so I was watching a behind the scenes featurette on Netflix. That's not my hate. I like those sometimes. Yes. And it was about the new Dark Crystal show I don't know if you know about the Dark Crystal, but it was it's a fantasy Jim Henson puppet sort of show. It was a movie way back in the 80s. I think it was in the 80s, and it got remade as a new series that I think was like a prequel, and I really enjoyed that show. And this was the behind the scenes. It was all about like the incredible work that all of these amazing puppeteers and set builders and artists and everything making this fantasy world come to life. And there was this story that a lot of the sort of production people at Netflix, because it was a Netflix production, were really excited to tell about how they got these two writers in who hadn't written much in Hollywood and stuff before, and they gave them the job of being the writers on the show, and they were really excited and all this kind of stuff. But they needed a hand. They needed a sort of veteran's hand to guide them in the world of writing a big Hollywood Netflix show, right? So there was this guy. I don't know who he is. Can't remember his name. The name meant nothing to me. But there was this guy they hired, and this guy was a massive Dark Crystal and general 80s fantasy movies nerd, right? Super excited to be involved in the project. And when they interview him, they described the moment that he was called into the office and told that he was going to be working on the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. This was his big thing. And the way it's first told is by someone else, someone who was in the room but wasn't himself. And this woman just says, and when we told him that he was going to be script supervisor on Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, I think at that moment he man cried.
Oh.
And then we cut to him, and he's there gushing, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm just the biggest fan. I love Jim Henson. I love the Dark Crystal. I think at the moment that they told me, I just started man crying. I was just man crying. I was just constantly I was like, shut up. Crying. I was like, stop saying it. Stop saying man crying. And he's just like, I was man crying. Then it cuts back to the woman. She was like, yeah, it was hilarious. He was man crying. And then we were all there just like, he's just so emotional. He's clearly the right guy for the job because he's so passionate, because he's man crying. I'm like, stop saying man crying. What the fuck is this? Like, he's a human person and he cried. That's fine. Why does it have to be man crying? Yeah.
What does man crying mean?
I've never heard that term before.
No, I've never heard that.
Now, I'm aware that I've brought to this podcast, I've brought man flu before as a
yes.
But the thing is, at least that's a term that I feel like is used quite a lot. People say that. Sometimes they even say it ironically. I've never heard man cry before. What the fuck is a man cry? Is it different?
I feel like he was either crying or he wasn't.
I know, exactly, right?
Yeah.
So which is it?
Can you? The real question would be: can you man laugh?
Yeah, I'd say. Well, yeah, surely you have to be able to.
Does it mean he wasn't actually crying? Does it mean he just like pretend cried?
Is it a kind of crying that preserves his very, very precious and fragile masculinity?
Yeah.
Because heaven forfend that anyone might think that as a man he was able to show his emotions.
You can't cry properly.
No,
that's impossible.
Can you ever really know man sorrow if you've not known man joy? This is what keeps me awake at night.
Yeah, that and all the man crying you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I assume man crying is a lot like human crying, but you're maybe also operating a lathe.
Yes,
Was he crying but like hammering up some drywall? Is that the difference?
He's crying while putting up a shelf,
or soldering or something like that.
Yeah, his tears form the spirit level that allows him to know if it's straight. I can only assume that there's a special kind of crying. I can tell you right now, I have never man cried. I've bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
I've cried, but I don't think I've man cried.
I really dream of and kind of aspire to express my emotions in such a pure, masculine, manly way. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's probably one of the most masculine things you can encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember this past year, as a family, we've experienced some tragedy. We've lost a couple of grandparents in the past 12 months, and I remember when I heard that kind of devastating news, that really kind of really hit me deep inside. It was all I could do not to go outside and erect a shed.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time.
In that moment, yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's so true.
Yeah, and I've got to say, like, not processing my emotions, not man crying, has actually it really upped my productivity because, you know, instead of really just kind of expressing my emotions, I go and I start like planing, or you know, I've just gotten into kind of whittling in a big way.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whittle crying.
Yeah, it's like for every major emotional breakthrough I have, I erect a new kind of cross brace against the fence. So
you should see the amount of cross braces in my garden, right? And that's testament, I think, to some real emotional, turbulent shit I've been going through. When I feel like I'm on the cusp of a deep emotional representation, a big thing I like to do is just go change some brake fluid. Like that's a huge one for me. I have a lot of brake fluid just kicking around, you know, so I'm ready to just clean out those lines and just put in some new fluid, because what's better? It's liquids all around. You got to do something, otherwise it's
got to do something. Got to do some sort of manual task.
I remember popping by your house, Nick, and I remember this moment quite vividly because I looked around your workshop and I saw the amount of brake fluid you had lying around, and for a moment I thought to myself, he's gone soft. Look at the emotion he's expressing through brake fluid. But then I thought to myself, no, he's not gone soft. He's just, that's good car maintenance.
It's funny though, because I had the opposite.
Just man crying.
I had the opposite feeling, because when I saw you see all of my brake fluid, I was like, oh, he'd better not comfort me. He'd better not read this as some sort of moment of sort of weakness or emotional availability. That is not what I want. I want him to see that as a man who is prepared to change his brake fluid regularly. Okay,
just in the purpose of obscuring actual crying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just for that.
And luckily,
if he doesn't get that, then I'll kick his ass.
Yeah, luckily you didn't do anything as disgusting as that, but we survived another day.
It's a weird phrase, really, isn't it? Man.
Doesn't make any sense.
Crying.
It doesn't make sense. If you're saying he did cry or he didn't cry and he just sort of just went, oh, I feel really emotional.
But it's like, it also doesn't work because like man flu is a thing, right? But crying is an action, right?
Mm.
So is it men cry? No, that's not right. Is it like, it doesn't work. Man cry doesn't. He's having a man cry, but you wouldn't say I'm having a cry. Well, maybe you would. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to work very well. Doesn't hang together.
I'd like to know what it means.
Yeah.
Has it got a dictionary definition?
Are you going to Google it?
I'm going to Google it and see what.
Okay, this is probably going to be depressing as well.
I kind of, if I had to stereotype it, I'd imagine that a man cry is where you get like one kind of like choked sob, and then you just kind of start slapping people on the back like really hard.
Yeah.
Oh,
what are you learning, Chris Ray?
Not much. It doesn't say an awful lot.
I wonder whether a man cry is when you force out one tear.
I'm on Urban Dictionary. I'm on Urban Dictionary, and this is a definition from May 10th, 2010. When a person experiences all of the physiological and emotional changes that typically occur when one cries without any obvious external signs to inform others.
Right. So how do you know?
Exactly. What does that even mean?
So
it's like saying I've shit myself, but nothing's come out.
Yeah. Is it like the only way you know someone's man crying is because they say, I'm man crying right now.
Exactly. You have to tell the people,
because
I'm so emotional. I'm man crying.
I am man crying right now.
Yeah, I'm so emotional about that news you've just given me about fucking Jim Henson or whatever.
Fucking Jim Henson.
Yeah.
I was when you started telling the story and you said they got some writers on board to write, you know, the prequel to Jim Henson's The Dark Crystal, and you said they needed a hand.
Yeah.
Honestly, where my brain went was that because it's puppets, they genuinely needed like a human hand.
They needed just one hand just to fill in that role for the day.
Yeah. Well, the writers were puppets. So,
that makes sense.
That's clever, isn't it?
They needed a hand.
That's clever.
That's funny, isn't it? That's a good joke for the podcast. We keep
write that one down, John. Write that one down.
What should I write?
Hand.
Like writers are puppets.
Yeah,
but
all writers are puppets, and they need a hand.
Not in a Jim Henson way, in like a corporate stooge kind of way.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Can that whole thing be the title of the podcast? Probably.
Probably.
Yes.
Probably the right kind of length, I'd say, character-wise.
Just about.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no, it's cool.
Good. Excellent. Well, we're agreed.
It's just a really weird statement. I don't know what to.
Doesn't make any sense. I concur.
Yeah,
I concur.
I think what annoyed me the most, how many times it was said. It felt like it was said hundreds of times. It was probably like twice, but it felt like it was said hundreds of times. And I think also what annoyed me is that the story was told from two different perspectives, both the guy himself and a woman talking about the moment that he was given the news, and they both used the term. And it was as if they had collaborated on how they were going to tell this story. That's how it felt, because no one says man cry, right? No one says that. So they came up with this term together, I think, and then they were like, when we do the voice pops for the vox pops for the documentary, let's both mention how I nearly man cried. Yeah. Let's say that. Yeah.
Nobody would say that term independently of one another unless it had been agreed upon in advance.
I know, exactly.
Fact.
And so that apparently is a very important thing to them, that they needed to say those words, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it pisses me off. Okay.
Yeah. I've got a hate.
Yeah.
All right.
Pick me.
Right.
Pick me.
I'll pick you.
For illustrative purposes only.
Oh.
For illustrative purposes only. What do you think that means? What do you think that means?
Well, I guess it's usually a legal way to
legal. That's interesting that you would say legal.
Because I've seen it used before, and to suggest that what you're looking at isn't necessarily what you're going to get.
Sure.
Maybe.
Okay, good. I like complaining to companies. And the latest company in my sights has been Argos.
Okay.
I have been, and regular followers of my Twitter feed will have seen my lengthy thread telling Argos off for a television I recently purchased from their catalogue.
Okay.
Now then, here we go. I am very happy. I'm satisfied with the television. It's fine. Okay. It's good. My telly broke. We needed a telly at short notice. Argos delivered. Good
very short notice.
I have nothing against it. It's a fine television.
It's fine. What I was anticipating, however, is that all the apps that I regularly use, streaming apps, would be included within the television itself. So I'm talking your Netflixes, YouTube, BBC iPlayer, All 4, and Disney Plus.
Uh-oh.
Now, the latter of those was included on the illustration of this television. So I was fully anticipating it would arrive with Disney Plus installed.
Ruh-roh.
It did not. So I wrote to Argos, didn't I? And I said, dear bastards. Which was a good start.
A strong start, yeah.
I said, why is this app not on my television? And they were just like, oh, that's weird. Let us look into that for you. And they were like, oh yeah, this is a very long-winded story that I basically complained in various different ways that this television did not come with Disney Plus. For the record, I don't really care. I've got a Chromecast.
Wait, so can you? Could you download it? How does that work?
No, you could not. I did check all these things. There's an app store, so it comes with all the apps, your Netflixes, blah 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 blah. So it was obvious what apps were on there already, and there is an app store on the television, but they're all fairly peripheral apps, let's say.
Okay.
And so you wouldn't really use them. It's like things you wouldn't need. But I thought it was a download, but I checked and it wasn't. So I wrote to them and was like, "Oh, what's going on here?" And they were like, "Oh yeah." They gave me lots of reasons why it might not be on there and why they may need to check and how they might install it on there and blah blah blah. Eventually, after maybe 3 or 4 times of trying, they said, "Oh yes, the image on our website is for illustration purposes only." I'm like, "Well, that's not right, because you have deliberately led me to believe that Disney Plus is included on this television." And they just went, "It's for illustration purposes only." I'm like, "Okay, let's go a different way with this. Where have you stated that on your website, that this is for illustration purposes only?" It's for illustration purposes only.
Okay.
No. Let's say I accept that. Let's say I've accepted that as your answer. Where on your website does it say that your images are for illustration purposes only? These images are for illustration purposes only.
Brilliant.
And so round and round and round and round we went. And eventually I put this on Twitter, and they messaged me on Twitter going, "I'm so sorry about this. Hopefully we can help you." And so I did the whole dance again. And then eventually they just wrote saying, because they tried various different ways to try and get this app on my telly. And then eventually they just went, "The image is for illustration purposes only." And I went, "Are you serious?" Like, I've literally just done a massive thread about why I'm pissed off at you saying that. And you've come back to me with that. So I went on a big megalomaniacal rant about that.
Nice.
And they eventually just then said, "Oh yeah, we can't help you anymore." And then they just refused to reply to my messages.
Please be quiet.
I have all of this transcripts saved, so I reported them to the Advertising Standards Agency.
Oh my god!
Oh, I'm not playing around.
No, you're not, are you?
I said to them, I will accept as compensation. I'll accept like a Chromecast or something like that. I have a Chromecast. I really don't care. It's just
them.
The point is just trying to make.
You wanted to seed a few ideas. If they were to start thinking.
And I went on the manufacturer's website to look at if they had this thing as well, and they don't. Their image is factual. It's correct as of what the apps actually are on the television. So Argos have done that deliberately to make it look like Disney Plus is on the telly when it isn't.
So, I may have been on the other side of this.
Uh-oh.
Although, obviously, I would never know if anyone complained. But I used to, at the design agency I work for, one of our clients used to be Euronics, who are a big tech selling brand in the UK. And one of the jobs we would often have to do for them was put together essentially a mini brochure that would just have usually loads of TVs in it, right? And those TVs would just be, it'd be like a Samsung and a Panasonic and whatever. They'd just be side by side. And the frustrating thing is we'd be sent images of these products, but they're all just black rectangles, right?
Yeah.
So what would we do? Because we're a creative graphic design agency, we would create images and we would inlay them onto the screens of the TVs to make the images look more interesting. And quite often we would add icons or systems like operating systems or whatever for how you might navigate menus. We'd just find them. We just find them on Google and we just Photoshop them in. They're probably not the right menus for those TVs at all. Quite often, maybe we would put in things like an icon for Netflix or an icon for Disney Plus because it looks good in the artwork, right? Yeah. And then we just send that off to Euronics. They'd sign it off, and out it would go to the public, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah.
I have a feeling that may be what happened here.
That might be what happened. But you've put that together, fine, all right. But you then need to put on your website or something. Or if you're Argos, this is for illustration purposes. That was the point I was getting to. I was like, where does it state this on your website? And they said, oh, we don't have to state it on our website. I was like, where is the legal
I'm pretty
documentation
sure you do.
for that? You do. You do.
Yeah.
Could you ever just take a screenshot from a movie?
Oh, I've done.
And put that on the screen.
Instead of in theory.
Yeah. We could have done. We never did because we were afraid that could be really obviously like copyright or problematic in some other way. So we always picked things like if it was a laptop, we picked like a screenshot of Windows. And if it was a TV, we picked a screenshot of like what the menu system looked like because that way, you're pretty safe of putting that on the screen until Chris Ray came along. And now now nothing's sacred apparently.
Well, the thing about this illustration purposes image was that it was the menu on my television. It was the correct menu.
Oh, it was.
In terms of the layout, it just had a Disney Plus panel in it, included within the various panels.
Which of course you didn't.
Obviously, the menu is the same, so that's accurate. But they deliberately put the Disney Plus one in there.
Interesting.
So, yeah. Anyway, if it had stated this is for illustration purposes, I'd gone, okay. Well, there you go. Easy come, easy go. I should have seen that as a consumer. But they couldn't tell me where that was stated on the page or on their website and how it was the case that they didn't have to put it on their website. Because no such solution exists.
Do you enjoy a fight?
Yeah. If I'm honest with you, John.
Yeah.
I really couldn't care less
Well,
about the actual
Chromecast, of course.
about the actual Disney Plus thing. I have a Chromecast, as I said. I've got like 3 of them. I just it's just the principle.
And there's all that free toothpaste as well, don't forget.
Yeah, I've been watching Moon Knight in high definition for weeks. You know, I'm fine.
I'm not saying that you're wrong to do so, because fight the power.
Oh,
but
particularly Argos.
is it the moment you take something to Twitter?
Mm.
You know, you're probably gonna win at that point, because like they don't want a public.
Companies don't like being called out in public, obviously.
No,
because it doesn't look good.
No.
So, but then the thread of that message was funny because they tried to help and then they just returned to their default setting, and it was just like I've wasted my time. So then I was getting really pissed off.
I don't do it anymore.
So now I just want to do it because they've wasted my time, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we'll see what the Advertising Standards Agency say, and if they don't come back to me, then I'm going to have to find someone to complain about them to. Who monitors the Advertising Standards Agency?
It's the Queen at this point. It's just the Queen.
I'm going to have to go all the way to the top, aren't I?
Yeah.
I'm just going to have to go to the top, I think.
Just skip to the top.
I don't do this anymore because my relationship with the internet has changed quite a bit, but I've had such an abysmal experience of late dealing with, I'm going to call them out, NatWest and their customer services, that I was tempted to take it to Twitter.
Yeah.
Tempted.
Tempted.
I didn't. Like, I really considered just having a big old rant.
It's good fun.
Is it fun? But what are you looking for? Are you looking for fun or are you looking for justice?
I'm looking to beat the system. Ultimately, I want to beat the big man.
Yeah.
The big man in this situation being Argos.
How do you know when you've beaten them?
I get something for free.
Okay, fine. Right. No, that's a good goal.
Or they change it. Or they change it on their website, and then I think, that's because of me. And I haven't, to be honest, it's more about the free stuff because I haven't checked their website.
Yeah, it's less.
I haven't even bothered looking because I don't care.
You don't care, as we said.
I don't care. I would just rather have had something for free that I could then sell on eBay.
When you were drafting these tweets,
sure. I mean, you're making it sound like I thought about it, but sure.
Well, yeah, I know you like to act just in kind of pure emotion, but like,
thank you.
Was your breath minty at the time from the free toothpaste you've been stealing for stealing
is a big word, John, and I thank the good people at Colgate for continuing to provide me and my wife with toothpaste that we can try on behalf of the great British public. In advance, and to date, I have not been poisoned by their fine, minty paste. Thank you again to Colgate.
But fuck you, Argos.
But yeah, fuck you, Argos. Fuck you, guys.
I've got hate.
Yes,
I hate inane social media conversations.
I feel like I'm not going to come across well here.
No. You're in a special brand. Everything you're doing, everything you're bringing to the table, that is uniquely you.
Oh yeah,
thank you.
For sure.
I hate it when the established thinking around good social media practice is to ask really inane questions.
Ugh.
So, like I said, I'm hating the game, not the player, because I know people have to do it to survive. So, no shade to people who do this just to make their brand work. But I hate it when you're a aspiring influencer or digital native. Like, say you're just trying to have a presence on social media. Yeah. And you're like, hello, I have an Instagram account and I sell, vegan shoes or something like that. You know, I make
they're delicious.
I make vegan boots, but that's great. That's your product. That's your USP. The catch is you have to generate a post a day on Instagram. Like, you've got to keep the brand alive.
Oh, I see. I understand.
Yeah. And so clearly everybody went to the same seminar on social media marketing, where what you do is you take a photo of yourself doing X. Yeah, really, it's irrelevant. The point is that it's a photo of you not working, and then you post this photo, and you then kind of just frame a question around it. So, say like it's a photo of you sipping a coffee, staring out the window. That seems to be quite a popular one. And then the question will just be, I don't know, I'm happiest when I'm wrapped up warm with my favorite hot drink. Yeah. What do you enjoy doing on an autumn morning?
Yeah.
And then you just
nobody has ever cared what anyone gets up to on an autumn morning.
And that's a fact.
Have they? That is a fact.
You can take that to the bank.
But nobody cares what anybody does on an autumn morning. And yet, that is what 99% of brands are doing. On Instagram.
Well, you've got to ask a question, because then
ask a question.
Because
you've got to encourage engagement.
Yeah, and then people are going to respond to that question. Is the theory. But who the fuck cares? Like, why would I? Just imagine I'm scrolling, and then there's a generic man, a generic white man appears, who I've already seen literally thousands of just that scroll previously, and he just says, "Hey, how do you take your coffee? I take mine with just a dash of milk." I'm not going to go, oh my God, I need to tell him. Oh my God, I need to tell him. I actually have quite a lot of milk and I have 2 sugars. Oh my God, notice me, senpai.
Yeah, but then you get drawn into a conversation around how do you enjoy your coffee? And you think, God, this is the most engaging conversation I've ever had. Who am I talking to? And it's Bonjela official.
Yeah. But then after 4 hours, they do a follow-up saying, we all enjoy coffee, but be sure to take care of your teeth with Bonjela.
Brush your teeth with Bonjela? No, wait.
Yeah. What is Bonjela?
It's for mouth ulcers, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it is, yeah.
The one I love is when you get... If you're bored and you're browsing Instagram, which I do, it's the last social media that exists on my phone. I love it when you get the ones which are clearly written, if not by a bot, then by some kind of underpaid Eastern European intern who's basically like chained to a desk somewhere. And it's like, it's the ones where they steal photos from other accounts just to, because all they're there to do is to generate likes or comments. Content. So it's like, you'll get these accounts which have just gone like, find a generic Instagram account of a pretty goyle, a pretty goyle.
Find a pretty goyle.
And then they steal the photo. You can tell it's been stolen from like 17 accounts because it's gotten increasingly grainier with every kind of repost. And they just take... And, it's like... they just take like a photo of like some attractive woman like standing on a balcony, staring out. And then they'll just type like, how do you like bread? Question mark. and then you look at it, it's like 174 comments of people telling you how they like their bread, and I'm like, ugh, I don't feel good.
Conversely, some of the replies to these things are often quite funny.
Yeah, some people
know exactly what it is, and they just relentlessly, mercilessly take the piss. Which is always good fun.
This is what's so wild about the whole situation, right? Because I remember a social media so someone whose job it is to teach you how to use social media once told me that the problem that brands face on platforms like Instagram is that Instagram is designed for one human being to socially connect with another human being, right? These platforms were designed from the ground up for people to share pictures of their picnics and their dogs and their mum and dad. And brands are trying to act like people so that they can get hundreds of thousands of followers on a place that's designed for us to share pictures of our dinner. Like, what the hell is going on? Like, they're bending over backwards to, you've got to create engaging content, you've got to ask questions, you've got to ask human questions. When does it get to the point that it's like, this isn't the place for us? Like, because, and the answer to that question, infuriatingly, is it works. It must work. Because otherwise they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It seems to... The problem is, it seems to work up until the moment you try to do it.
Yeah, that's so true. There is a myth here, I think. Yeah.
Because Nick, I mean, like full credit to you. You've got like you've made a pretty successful like RPG game. You've got people liking it and following it online.
Sure.
But I guarantee you could start tomorrow. Just, I don't know, a photo of you and a pencil, and then like a question like
bread.
Bread. just the word bread.
Bread.
Bread?
Just you standing there, just in no context, just bread.
There's no bread in the image. It's just me.
Yeah, no bread at all.
With a pencil.
Not even the slightest hint of bread.
I'm gonna make that post.
And you should. Just bread.
I'm just gonna see what happens. No hashtags. Bread.
We should put that on the group before this episode comes out.
Yes.
I just put bread.
Bread.
Oh God!
Oh no! Oh no!
I was thinking like because they always try to. My point is they always tried to be relatable in some way.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it'd actually be really funny if you tried to ask a question that was inherently unrelatable. Like, if you just like you post a photo, it's like every photo is like, oh, that's an artful shot of a book. That's an artful shot of like a deck of cards. Oh, that's really tasteful. And then there's one photo of you, like topless, clearly taken with a mobile phone, but like on the kitchen floor, like angled up, and it's you. And it's like 2 a.m. and it's completely dark in the kitchen, and the only light is this brief flash from your phone, and it's you like gnawing on a spicy sausage, like a kind of animalistically. And it,
I've got a load of those on my phone.
and it just goes like,
Yeah.
and it just goes like, how do you enjoy a sausage? Question mark. And then the next post is just back to like a really artful picture of a book.
That would probably be perceived as a cry for help, and rightly so, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, potentially, John, what you've just described is a 100% perfectly accurate recipe for going viral.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Try
that out.
I'll try it out.
Try it out and let us know how it goes. And if you lose any followers, let alone all of them.
Which it will be.
Probably will.
I will lose them all. Yeah. No one needs to see me topless.
This is Well, I mean, like topless photos of spicy sausages aside, like this is what I mean. I mean, no ill will to people who have to do this to survive.
Yeah.
Because this is the nature of it, and this may be why I'm bad at it. But I'm just aware that like if you have a brand, if you have a product, whatever, you're kind of expected to have some kind of presence online. You got to generate some content.
Oh, you have to.
But Christ alive, I find it hard to go like, oh God, I've got to get a post out. And every time I see somebody who's just, I don't know, they've always got a hot drink in hand as well. Like, you know, they're wearing dungarees and they're staring at a book.
Oh, they look very relatable. In theory.
Super relatable.
To people who wear dungarees. Anyway.
And I'm like, how the hell do you find the time? Oh God, like I don't know how you do it. Day in, day out.
I think the problem is, John, is that you are inherently a very creative person, right?
Oh, thank you.
You put your all into everything you make, whether it be a graphic novel or a single social media post. And what you have to do, I think, to succeed at this is to not give a shit at all.
I see.
And ask the most inane garbage, and it doesn't matter, you know, because yes, my heart does go out to the people whose job is social media manager for Halfords, right? And they have got to post. They have to, because it's their whole job. They don't have to they don't have to pump up bike tires. They don't have to, you know, spray paint a kid's bike helmet. I don't know what you do at Halfords, right? But like,
I think those are the two main.
Those are the two main things. Yeah, they don't have to do those. They just have to sit at the computer and they have to do 4 posts a day. And it's like, what's your favorite helmet? I guess.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. How many wheels would you prefer on your bicycle.
No, don't say that. How many wheels would you prefer? That's it.
How many wheels? Yeah, not even on your bike. How many wheels? What is the optimum number of wheels?
Yeah, what is the optimum number of wheels? Answer below. And then all the comments just like 2, 9, 3, 16.
Of course, whenever Argos posts, it's just me, the first reply saying, fuck you.
And then their reply is him again. Oh no.
Their reply to me is just, this is for illustration purposes.
For illustrative purposes only.
And every post you leave is like from Chris Ray 10, from Chris Ray 11, from Chris Ray 12.
You got to number
they keep blocking you.
Yeah.
As you
you got to keep making accounts.
You've got to.
Otherwise, you're going to get blocked.
Chris Ray backup 9.
Yeah.
Chris Ray porn account.
Yeah. Oh, don't tweet from that one. Oh, you're getting all sorts of trouble.
Oh yeah.
Well, look, it's been a weird episode.
It has been a weird episode.
It has been a very weird episode.
Maybe this is the shape of things to come.
Well, the question is, did we want to call it there and then go to like the really hard decisions, or did we want to kind of squeeze in like a listener?
I should say at this point that the podcast machine you've kindly loaned me is running out of battery.
Well, that might answer that question.
Maybe we should just kill it there. Yeah, I mean, damn it! Like I've been ill. I've been recovering.
Yeah, we got stuff to do,
and I've had to put up with you talking about it.
I got to be up early the next 2 days to be going and doing social things.
Yeah,
and thank God that you can actually go and socialise. Like that's what's been keeping me awake.
I'll regret it in a few days when we get relegated and I have a hangover. But there you go.
Well, on that note, then, gentlemen, what do we think won? Is it Hate or is it Sonic the Hedgehog 2, starring Jim Carrey and James Marsden?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Because for the first time ever, all our loves are the same.
Yeah, that is
by virtue of this format that's been foisted upon us. But I'm going to say love, because and my reason is because it's the greatest turnaround story of our generation. That the three boys who hated Sonic 1 so firmly can find some love in their hearts for the sequel, and I think
can find nothing but indifference for the sequel.
Some mild indifference and a couple of positive pros. Yeah, so I'm going to say love.
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a chestnut mushroom. Ooh,
I don't know what to say. I feel I almost owe an apology to the Sonic franchise.
Oh my goodness.
So I kind of want to say love.
Okay.
If only just to prove that I'm not a monster. So I kind of want to say love.
Okay.
So Chris Ray's opinion is irrelevant, but what would you say?
It's irrelevant.
Chris Ray?
I would have said hate. Because Argos have really pissed me off.
Despite the fact
they're giving you something to do, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm quite busy. Yeah. I didn't really have time to do that.
Also, I
just felt like it.
You do have a Chromecast. So.
I do already have one. It's fine. It's fine. I'll get by.
Well, I don't know. It's like this is a whimper, not a bang, isn't it? Like I feel. For all the progress we've made, we kind of took a few steps back by doing a remote episode today. I don't know what to.
Well, we'll take a few forward next time.
Oh, that's nice.
Look at it that way. We've taken a step back so we can take a running start.
Are you actually
off a cliff?
If you have any complaints about this episode, just tweet Chris Ray. Just tweet at Chris Ray, and he'll relish the opportunity.
You could direct them to @Argos Helpers.
Yeah, and they'll just respond with for illustrative purposes only.
Yeah, this episode has been for illustration purposes only.
Well, the real question would be when next we are in the studio, are you actually going to join us, you lazy fuck?
Oh,
well, we shall. I genuinely can't guarantee.
It's really impossible to say, isn't it? Yeah.
I genuinely couldn't say. Let's hope so. For the good of the show, let's hope so.
For the good of the show.